Marcus, Ned, to what do I owe the pleasure?
So, we can use our names now?
I'm not recording, so certain company policies can be relaxed.
Huh.
Well,
We're just checking in on you, Soren. Wanted to make sure that you're still with us. I mean, sitting behind the screen all day, looking at files, it's enough to drive anyone mad. Especially when your boss gives you a tight deadline and mountains of digital paperwork to sort through.
yes, blame me for all of your ills as you are wont to do. Did you come into my office and interrupt my work on a whim, or do you have something important to report to me?
My apologies, Chief Auditor. Marcus was only joking around. It's been a long few days in the office. Anyways, we've gone through the file as you requested. Both Marcus and I worked throughout the night to get a semi-functional timeline of events created.
I'm actually quite surprised. I didn't think you two had it in you. I was expecting a timeline to be on my desk by the end of November. Congratulations on exceeding my expectations. I didn't quite catch that, Marcus.
I said nothing of importance, Chief Auditor. I was simply thanking you for your congratulations. It means so much to have someone of your standing compliment our work.
Indeed it does. If you don't mind, Soren, I would like to discuss the case with you. I feel as though our theory is, well, off base.
Not this again. Soren, do not let this idiot prattle off his inane theories. I've had to hear him jabbering in my ear all week with ideas that ignore plain fact.
My theories are not inane. They are perfectly sound and reasonable approaches to this case.
You read one sad email and suddenly all your theories attempt to exonerate the known culprit of this horrific tragedy. You are emotionally compromised.
Firstly, having empathy for an obviously struggling man does not make me emotionally compromised. Secondly, we cannot know that Percival was indeed the known culprit, as you put it.
Of course we can! We have 3 survivors who all testify that it was Percival who crashed that ship. Every single file we went through corroborates the survivor's story. From Catherine's workstation scans to the Panopticon security logs that showed Percival messing with the system.
And that doesn't bother you at all? How, out of all of the files to survive being corrupted, all of that evidence we went through, not a single piece of it contradicted the survivor's story? That not one survivor got a date wrong, or a time wrong, or maybe mischaracterized Percival? I'm telling you, Marcus, that is simply unbelievable to me. Something about this stinks.
That could just be you. After all, we've been sleeping in the office for 4 days.
Buzz off, Marcus.
I just don't understand why you have such a hard-on to defend this guy. I mean, excluding all of the evidence that for some ungodly reason you don't seem to trust, Percival is still a model suspect. I mean, the kid literally fits the exact profile of the average corporate terrorist. An overworked, disgruntled employee with a history of violent outbursts. Sound familiar? It should, because if you open any history datapad, you'd know that Anastasia Martin, the person who created the 10,000-kilometer ship graveyard in the main asteroid belt and killed upwards of 100,000 people, fit the exact same profile. Seems pretty cut and dry to me.
Oh my god, Anastasia Martin. Will you ever shut up about Anastasia Martin? I understand you're very proud of yourself for reading For Once in Your Miserable Life. However, that situation is not at all comparable to the voyage of the Catabasis.
Oh yeah, Mr. Athenaeum Reject, how is this different?
Because Percival wasn't a known corporate terrorist engaged in war against the company, you simpering buffoon. I swear, you see someone who has a legitimate mental illness and immediately assume they're gonna burn down the Odysseus district.
Oh, what the hell do you know? I've been working this job for 15 years. I know a psycho when I see one, and I'll be damned if I let some first-year intern try to tell me different.
Stop! You two are acting like children. I understand debating over the case. It is an important aspect of our job. After all, we are assigned to create a compelling narrative that best holds to evidence. It is only natural that we would pit competing theories against each other. It is even more natural that when engaging in such intellectual exercises, argumentation may get a little heated, shall we say. However, these natural inclinations cannot excuse us from behaving in an unprofessional manner. We are auditors, servants of logic and reason, and we must act like it. Both of you will apologize to another.
I'm sorry, Marcus. I shouldn't have insulted your intelligence or your casework. You have an excellent record, and I feel incredibly honored to be working with you on this case.
Nah, you're good, mate. I was being a dickhead. I definitely shouldn't have brought up the school thing.
Water under the bridge.
No, it isn't. You're a smart kid, and that school is lucky to have you. Drinks are on me later tonight.
Sounds good to me.
Good. Now that that's settled, I would like a summary of what you found. I was able to glean some understanding from your little argument, but I would prefer more details. Please present to me as impartially as you can, what you found in the uncorrupted files.
Well, it was just like you said in your first summation, Chief Auditor. The files largely supported the initial reading of the case. We scanned through close to 2,500 files, most of which were backlogged maintenance reports or nav data for any new information, and found that the most cogent reading of the case was that Percival, over a prolonged period of isolation, had fully snapped, killing 4 crew members and setting the ship on a collision course with Callisto before being ultimately killed by Captain L.C. Coas.
Is that all you found? I seem to remember the mention of a particularly sad email.
I'm getting to it. You asked for a full summary, so I'm giving you one. Anyway, after scanning through all of those backlogged maintenance reports, security system updates, and other official filings such as disciplinary reports or heading updates, my good pal Ned here decided to check for any hidden files and...
I uncovered a private repository of shipwide correspondence housing close to 200 files, ranging from sensitive internal communications sent between the crew and private external transmissions. I, of course, reported this to Marcus, and together we went through them, and we found quite a lot of interesting material.
Fascinating. What in particular stood out to you within this material?
I was able to find 2 important chains of communication. One between Asclepius and Captain regarding Percival's mental health. It seems that Asclepius was transcribing Percival's therapy sessions and sending them to Elsie to help her keep tabs on her brother. Marcus and I were able to analyze 2 of them before we ran into security restrictions. We tried multiple different clearance passwords and alternative entry methods, but we could not unlock the remaining files.
The kid and I pulled a few all-nighters to get those other 4 files unlocked, especially the ones dated to November, but no dice.
That's quite all right. I'm certain that with time you'll be able to uncover those remaining files. Though I suppose I could lend my expertise. Please send me those files at your earliest possible convenience, and I will take a look at them in between my sorting of the remaining corrupted files.
Sure thing, boss. Do you want us to get on that now, or should I keep going?
Oh, that can wait until after this conversation. Please, continue, Ned.
Right. The other important chain was a series of personal logs exchanged between all of the crew. From an initial glance, it appears both Torda and Falak had an extensive history. In the first log I went over, they both mentioned participating in the reclamation of Saturn.
Wonderful. I would like a full write-up on those logs by the end of November. I hate to even indulge this, so please forgive me, but were you able to locate anything resembling one of Percival's phantom transmissions?
Absolutely not. We uncovered no such file and have found nothing in the metadata to imply the existence of said file.
I supposed as much, but it never hurts to inquire. I've still heard no mention of this sad message business.
That's because it's not really relevant to the case. I just thought it was interesting, but I don't think it's really worth your time.
Based on Marcus's earlier ribbing and your newfound defensiveness, I would hazard a guess that you believe it's fairly important.
Hey, I was just giving the kid a hard time. If he says it's not important, it's not important.
I will be the judge of that. Now, Ned, speak. Tell me about this file.
It's an apology email sent by Percival to Elsie. I think it might complicate our initial narrative.
How so?
Well, it might help exonerate Percival just a little bit. In the email, he seems genuinely apologetic about his earlier outbursts and promises Elsie that he'll get better.
So we're supposed to ignore the physical evidence and the victim's testimonials because Percival felt a little sad? The very idea is patently absurd.
I'm not saying that. I just think that this messes with our characterization of Percival as this maniac who is so self-absorbed that he couldn't see he was hurting other people. I mean, the presence of an apology alone does suggest he was trying to get better.
And we are supposed to take the ever-unreliable Percival at his word? Don't you think Percival could have felt apologetic after he maimed 5 of his colleagues? Or maybe those lives don't matter to you. They certainly didn't mean much to him.
That's not what he's saying.
I can speak for myself.
Indeed
Marcus.
he can. Tell me, Ned, if Percival's really innocent, then who crashed the ship? Who planted Percival's hand in the dashboard and framed him for the incident?
I don't know where... I don't know. There's a chance it's one of the survivors. They did get career...
It's quite evident that you do, in fact, not know. In your haste to believe the very best in Percival, you have condemned 1 or more innocent people who, mind you, went through 4 harrowing months aboard a derelict vessel with a madman stalking its halls to summary execution for murder and conspiracy without a shred of evidence to support their guilt, other than Percival feels sad.
That's not what I'm saying.
Then what are you saying, Ned? Because all you've done so far is insult my intelligence and waste the company's resources.
I just thought it was important, alright? I didn't mean to insult your intelligence. I just think it's too early to rule out other possible suspects. I'm sorry. Just ignore everything I said, okay?
Send it to me. I'll take a look at it once I finish my break, even if it will be a complete waste of my time.
Yes, Chief Auditor.
Thank you. Why are you just standing here? We have work to do, gentlemen. Out of my office.
Yes, sir.
Why are you still here?
You know, you could stand to go a little easier on the kid.
What is this pungent stench in the air? It smells of hypocrisy.
Hey, you're right. I was picking on the kid earlier, but we're supposed to give each other a hard time. It's just how it is. But when your boss belittles you in front of your coworker, well, that'll just take the wind right out from under your sails.
Are you suggesting that Ned was correct in his assertion? That I should have given more credence to his nonsensical reading of the case?
No, I'm not saying that. I think the kid is wrong on this one, but you didn't have to reject him so harshly. Some of what you said was rough.
So you have a problem with my verbiage? Would it have been better if I had coded my words in false modesty?
You could have at least pretended to care about what he had to say. You were too rough with him, Soren.
Oh, spare me your hand-wringing, Marcus. Ned is an incredibly smart individual, but he is hopelessly naive. You know it, and I know it. It is my job as his senior and superior to train that out of him, to disabuse him of his trust in human goodness, to thoroughly destroy his credulousness, till all that remains is rightful cynicism. You went through it, I went through it. It is simply part of the job. Now, unless you have anything else to discuss, leave me to my work.
You're a fucking asshole sometimes. You know that, Soren?
I'm well aware.
When you read the damn thing, just maybe consider that the kid he could have a point.
I will. Now go.
Yes, Chief Auditor.
Come on. Where is that damn recorder? There! Ahem. This is employee 73, 6F, 63, 72, 61, 74, 65, 73. Recording from workstation 6C, 69, 60, 62, 6F. This is a preliminary screening of... What did he title it? RFC 045, otherwise known as formysister.txt. RFC 045, otherwise known as formysister.txt. I will judge the document's readiness and see if it's worth a full breakdown. Document begins. Happy birthday, Elsie. Hard to imagine that you're 24 now. I can still remember when we were just kids, running around the Hab Bay in the Odysseus district. Do you remember that time when we went out for the spacewalk? It was your 13th birthday, and Mom and Dad wanted to do something really special for their outstanding daughter. They'd given us money to rent some antique spacesuits for the day and planned to take us to a spot where we could see Saturn's rings. Sadly, they couldn't come with us. I think they had both been called into the office. Despite that, I remember that you were super excited, full of mirth. You had always wanted to be a cosmonaut. Every night, you watched those Yuri Gagarin tapes that Dad had on the holodeck. This would have been your first real step to experiencing what he felt. When we got to the hours-long line for the airlock, you were giddy. So happy to finally get the chance to step outside of the habitation module. It was an intolerable wait for you. But eventually we got to the guy renting spacesuits that Dad told us about. I remember you confidently inserting the credit chip and depositing your hard-earned birthday money. We had just enough to pay for a full hour of suit rental. We grabbed those suits and you had yours on in seconds flat. It seemed like being among the stars was engraved in your being. Meanwhile, I was struggling to put the helmet on. A little boy, grasping at buckles that slipped through his hands. You helped me with my suit, making sure everything fit safely, and then took me into that old airlock. It was dark in there, with flashing red lights that made the garish yellow handrail look monstrous. You were standing tall, indomitable, victorious, electricity coursing through your veins, ready to step out onto the surface. You never took that step. Instead, you paused and looked behind you. You saw me. I was quivering in the corner of the airlock, having one of my episodes. My intellect stripped from me, I was just a puddle on the floor, lying still. You walked back to me and picked me up, taking me out of the airlock and placing me on a nearby steel bench. We sat in the hab bay in our rented spacesuits, the airlock visible just out of reach. Sniveling and pathetic, a face full of snot and tears, I cried for what seemed like hours. Eventually, I calmed down enough to speak. I looked at you and began to apologize over and over for ruining your special day. When I was done, you just looked at me and smiled. You grabbed my hand, looked into my eyes, and said that nothing was ruined. That you didn't really want to go on the spacewalk anyway. That it was just as beautiful resting in here under the fluorescent lights as it was out there under the rings of Saturn. You gave up your dream of stepping on the surface of Tethys, all to sit and comfort me. And by some miracle you weren't mad about it. I'll never forget that day, and what you did for me. What am I saying? What you still do for me. You've always taken care of me despite my sickness. I don't deserve you, Elsie. You pulled me out of that airlock, pulled me out of that house, and took me with you into the stars. You've shown me such kindness. I know I'll never be able to fully repay it, but I hope that a birthday email will show that I am trying. I really am trying to get better and make what you did worth it. I love you so much, Elsie. Thank you for being my big sister. Document ends. I can see why Ned was so emotionally affected by this. Percival was quite clever with his words. He creates quite the infecting narrative. For a moment, it even had me going. However, I am not my colleague. He's too naive to recognize this as the farce that it is. I understand this document, and I finally understand you, Percival. This document is an incredibly contemptible display by a sad and piteous individual, a desperate bleeding cry for attention. It is Percival begging to not feel alone, to be understood by his sister, groveling like some house dog. Instead of a man suffering, I found a mewling and prattling child, incapable of making a genuine human connection with his own flesh and blood. A pathetic shell of a man who will do or say anything in a desperate bid to feel loved, to feel understood, to not feel alone. I don't know how Ned didn't recognize this. For God's sakes, the level of unashamed self-pity oozing from this overly sentimental garbage he labeled a heartfelt apology should have given the game away. But I suppose that's what happens when you're young. You believe the best in people, for better, and in this case, for worse. This note has done little to undo my convictions. However, I do not believe it is relevant enough to admit into the narrative now. Perhaps it will serve as a closer in my final report. It would make for a good narrative punch at the end, a final twisted reveal. Furthermore, if I designate the file as possibly important, I can show Ned that I am tough but fair. Yes, I quite like that. In my preliminary judgment, I have deemed RFC 045 to be worthy of further investigation at a later date. I designated a Humulus level file and will file it accordingly. End of preliminary recording.